Stan, if there's one message in this gym, is about being steroid free. Why is that so important to you?
Well, really, because originally weight training and bodybuilding, it began without steroids. It began without the use of drugs, and there were some fantastically strong people, men, that used to train, 2 or 3 times a week, and build the most incredible physiques and be fantastically strong. But then what happened is that in the sort of, perhaps 50 years ago, there started to be, or perhaps 40 years ago, there started to be sort of the advancement in chemicals and what they could achieve, and probably, I don't know, perhaps about 30 years ago or so, anabolic steroids started to be used slightly here and there, and of course they've slowly took over the entire sport. In fact, not just weight training or bodybuilding or powerlifting, but I'm told virtually every sport has been, has faced the people wanting to, achieve great things, but without taking the time to build that sort of physique. And also, of course, anabolic steroids have, they do give athletes an advantage, which makes it then unfair for the people that don't take them. So it becomes a pressure upon people that wish to remain natural. If they really want to compete against, in the main circuits, there's a great pressure on people to take dangerous anabolic steroids. That is sort of just what the industry has become like, and all industries to do with sport are pressurised. But yet what we do is in Stan's gym, we have seen, because we've made a stance against anabolic steroids and against the use of hormones, which is growth hormone or anabolic steroids, because we've made a stance against it, we have developed in Stan's gym some incredibly strong people. One guy was by a guy called Mike Joseph, who's a world record holder. He managed to, under 13 stone, he bench pressed 200 kilogram, and he's got a world record to prove it. And he only just started training at Stan's gym probably, 20 years ago, or he'd tell you the exact time. But basically is that he just trained, he competed twice here naturally, of course, he doesn't take any drugs, just like, the vast majority of people that ever come here, they like coming here because they are in an environment which is not got drug dealers. There's no people selling steroids here. So because of that, they can train within a sensible environment and they can excel. And this is what Mike Joseph did, is he trained in a drug-free environment, so he wasn't influenced greatly by people around him to take anabolic steroids. He trained naturally. He ended up winning Mr. Stan's gym 2 years running, because we have powerlifting competitions in the gym. He won the overall title. He was clearly the strongest man we've ever known at under 13 stone. And then, of course, he wanted to find out about, training a bit further, competing further abroad. So he competed in the British Championship, then the European Championship. He took the British Championship straight away. He won the British Championship bench press competition. He took the European straight away. Then he went for the World Championships, and that same year he took the World Championships straight away. So he came out of Stan's gym and out of nowhere, as far as the world would be concerned, and he became a world record holder, or rather a world title holder. Then he had his eye on the world record, which I believe he would tell you more details, but there was someone that held the world record already, of course, for a period of time, and Mike was then training hard here to work towards a point where he would take that world record. And in fact, he not only took the world record after an incredible amount of training and dedication, but he not only took the world record, but he even went on, I think I'm correct in saying, to even beat his own world record. And I believe currently he is the world record holder for flat benching, and incredible.
But the message is,
yeah, drug-free.
Drug-free.
Drug-free is the fact that people can. The thing is, when men take anabolic steroids, there's like an inner circle of people that take drugs, and they know what's really going on. And then there's the outer circle, which is all the people sort of looking in. And the thing is, within the inner circle of people that take hormones or take anabolic steroids, they know full well that what it does is it affects the way that a man functions sexually. Is because what anabolic steroid hormones do is that when you take hormones, man's natural production of testosterone begins to diminish. Now, it's the man's natural production of testosterone which is necessary for normal sexual function within a marriage. So there is this normality which is thumped by when people start to take hormones. And of course that messes up a man emotionally. You know, it can cause them to become more aggressive than normal. One man in particular spoke to me, and in confidence, I wouldn't use his name, but he told me that after a number of years using anabolic steroids, he believed that they'd actually made him sterile. He was unable to have children, so that was a very sad thing, but nevertheless this is what he told me. So even though I don't think that's the norm, I wouldn't like to say it's a norm, I'm not a doctor, but nevertheless, you know, when you hear these things, and also a friend of mine, David Singh, he'd been taking steroids many years ago, and he actually died, and the doctors put his death down to the use of anabolic steroids. You know, other people I know, Mr. Gary Kendall, who you know, was a Mr. Europe, I believe, you know, an incredible physique, you know, he died young, you know, very young, you know.